Hi guys, it's Craig here. I got a taste test today. This is a home brew taste test. What I did was I brewed myself a Cooper's, the can's a little worse for wear, it's a Cooper's wheat beer. Okay, it's the one with the sort of the brownish colored bands on the top and the bottom. This is a Thomas Cooper's Brew Master Selection. Wheat beers are generally flavored with fruit and things like that because it's a very mild tasting beer. I tasted this batch when I first kegged it. It wasn't quite ready, but it was pretty good. So it's been sitting here. I put it in the freezer for a while, so it's pretty cold, and we're going to try it here. Wheat beers are generally, put with other flavors, fruit. You can put lemon juice in. I actually went upstairs because I usually keep lemons around for putting lemon with water when I drink my water. And I'm out, so I can't even try that, but maybe another time. Okay, so I've got my keg down here. I'm just going to pour this, and we'll see what we've got. I'm not going to tilt the camera. You guys, you know what I'm pouring this thing. So here we are. Should get some pouring music. Oh, that looks nice. Oops, I forgot my drip tray. Okay. Yes, it's a little cloudy, and actually wheat beer is known for its cloudiness, its haziness. It has a nice tight head, not overwhelming. Again, it's a very light-bodied beer, so a huge head isn't really important, and I don't really care about that anyway. As far as aroma goes, not much to speak of, really. Really isn't much of an aroma there. It is quite cold, though, so that sometimes can hamper the aroma of the beer. But let's give it a taste and see what we've got. That's pretty good, man. That's different than what a malt beer tastes like. Pleasantly carbonated. The first thing that comes to my mind is it's smooth. It's like a cream. It's sort of cream. It's got a creamy feel to it. Which is, well, it's just, I guess it's, I don't know, the texture of the wheat? I don't know. It's very creamy. Did I say it was creamy? You know what? It's a very basic, unintrusive. You know what? If I cut the grass and I was dying for a beer, this is what I would go with. This is what I would come in the house and grab. It's really, really refreshing. Brisk, I guess, is a good word to use. I don't think the alcohol, I didn't do a specific gravity. I forgot to do a gravity on it when it was done, or if I did, I got it in my database. I don't know, it doesn't matter. It's probably about 4.8%. It's not really very strong, but which makes it a great beer for afternoon drinking when you're outside and it's hot, and it's so cold and it's so refreshing. I would highly recommend this. Now that the head's gone, I am getting some aroma, and it just has a, you know what, it's really hard to describe these things because there's nothing to compare it to. Beautiful tasting beer. I like that. I like that a lot. I will make this again. It stands back from you. It doesn't hit you with anything really strong. There's not a lot of hop flavor. There's just a little background of the wheat taste. But it's not like it tastes like bread or anything. It's got that sort of background that you can tell it's not a malt beer, and very refreshing and very nice. I want to talk about something in a second here, so just hang on. Cheers to that. That's Cooper's wheat beer. Give it a whirl. You do have to add, I think it's some dry malt extract. to it, and a little bit of dextrose, not much. Or you could go all out on the malt extract, but I would just do it from what it says to do in the instructions first, and then you play with it later. Great. Okay, I want to do a little bit of discussion on the different ways of making beer. There's been a lot of, sort of confusion and back and forth and saying you can't do this, you can't do that, and all this kind of stuff. And I just want to clear this up for you guys who may have gotten tied up in all that kerfuffle about you can't and you can and you this and you that and all this kind of art stuff and all this kind of crap. So let's talk basically about sort of the 4 different ways of making beer. And first and foremost, I want to stress that there's no one way of doing it. Okay? People will tell you, some people will say there's no other way to do it but this, there's no other way to do it than that, but this and that and the other. There's 4 ways of making that stuff that I just drank down there. Okay? Beer. It's beer, and there's 4 ways of doing it. The most basic way is to get yourself a can of pre-hopped malt extract. Okay? This is a Cooper's Lager. Can't do it right now because it's too warm down here. It's got the hops already in here. It's already ready to go. It's one of the most, other than the Mr. Beer thing, which I've never tried it, but I've heard. We won't talk about it. Anyways, other than that, this is the most basic way of doing it. And for beginners, it's awesome. The instructions are right there on the side of the can. I mean, you can't go wrong. And I've done many of these types of beers, and I have no complaints about it. They taste good. There's room for improvement. Absolutely. You can play with these things. You can tweak these. But this is a great base to start with. Okay? It's inexpensive. The yeast comes with it. And if you really don't have time, some guy goes to work 40, 50 hours a week. He's got 2 or 3 kids, he's got a dog, he's got a wife, a house to run, groceries to do, meals to prepare. He wants to make beer in his own home. He doesn't have the time to do, an all-out, all-grain boil. And so what does he do? What would you do? Would you just walk away and say, well, I can't do it? Or would you at least try something that is easier and will be satisfying and will be very drinkable and better than a lot of store-bought beers? What would you do? Okay? So that's the first way of doing it. Now listen, let's talk first of all about this tin can thing. It doesn't matter where the malt extract comes from, whether it comes out of a can, whether it comes out of a bag, whether it comes out of an aluminum bladder or a plastic container. You can buy it in bulk. You get it. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's malt extract, okay? It's a syrup that is extracted from the grains that you make beer from, okay? These things, all right? And it's used widely all over the world. You can get Cooper's, you can get Black Rock, you can get different brands of it. These are unhopped, just basic 2-row or whatever, malted barley, condensed down, put in a can. That's what it is. It's malt extract, used widely all over the world. You can take a can of this. You can put it in a boil. You can add some hops to it. You might want to maybe use 2 cans. 2 cans of this, maybe some dry malt extract. This is basically the same thing, but in a powdered form. Okay, and you can completely eliminate the dextrose if you want, or you can use dextrose if you want. It doesn't matter. You do it. You do it your way. Okay, it's your beer, it's your house, and you can still do extract brewing from these, but you can step it up a little bit and add your own hop aromas, your hop schedule, and flavor it the way you want it. This is a light malt extract. You can get a darker malt extract, different kinds, different brands. Doesn't matter. Okay. And that's what you've got. This, some hops, some other fermentables, maybe some dextrose, maybe some dry malt extract. Boil it up. You got beer, okay? As I said before, this whole tin can metaphor that's been created on certain channels, the tin can metaphor is used by those people because it sounds degrading, okay? Tin can brewing. Does that sound great? No, it doesn't. Okay, it just so happens that we get a lot of our consumable products out of cans. Canned tomatoes, canned beans, canned soup, canned corn, canned everything. Everything is in cans. So you get it in a can, so you get it in a plastic thing, you get it in a bag. Doesn't matter. It's malt extract. It's all the same. Very widely used. Very, very widely used for making beer. Here's what people generally do. The next tier up that's still extract brewing that we just talked about, where you add your own hops, and you add this and some dry malt extract, some hops. You do it that way. It's still called extract brewing. The meaning of extract brewing, actually, on YouTube is, hang on one sec, I'll just check it. Go over to my computer here. Okay, definitions of extract brewing on the web. Making beer from malt extract syrup or powder as opposed to unprocessed malt, which is used in all grain brewing. Okay? So there you have that. Okay, so the next level from extract brewing is partial extract brewing. Partial extract brewing is when you take the extract, the malt extract that was so widely available, it's so convenient, and you mix it with your whatever grains you choose to use. Now you have to get a little more into the recipes a little bit, but it's a lot of fun. I've done it, and I have a video coming up on that, and it's really a lot of fun. The aromas are amazing. The beer's over there fermenting. I can't wait to taste it, and we'll make a video on that. So partial extract, because you're using extract, but you're also using grains, the same grains that the all grain guys use. Okay? It's probably one of the most popular ways of making beer, and there's a really fantastic video on YouTube, which I'll put in the more info section, and I'll put the link there. He happens to get his canned malt extract from a plastic container. He probably buys it in bulk. Okay, and he shows that. It's the same stuff, okay? It's just because it's not the word tin can has nothing to do with it. It's just a container, okay? Right. So you take your malt extract, you take your grains, you steep your grains, you add your malt extract, your hops, you boil it, you cool it off, you put it in your fermenter, and you add your yeast. I mean, it's a mixture between all grain and extract. Okay, it's kind of a cool alternative to all grain because it takes a lot less time and doesn't require any special equipment, and you still get the freshness of the grains. Let's take a break. I've got some issues and some opinions coming up after I get through this, so I want you to stick around and have a listen. The third tier in home brewing, and your third choice in how you're going to make your beer, is called a mini mash. A mini mash is very similar to an all grain batch, but you're not doing a full 5-gallon boil. Okay, so you're still brewing an all grain batch of beer, using just grains, just those things, just these, okay, right? You got to have enough of them to make an entire batch. But you're doing it in a smaller pot, smaller boil, and a mash is basically when you add the grains to a water at a certain temperature, 150, 160, somewhere in there. You see, when you do a partial extract brew, you've got your grains in a bag and you steep them like a cup of tea, okay? With a mash, you don't do that. Okay, you put the grains right in the water without a bag, and you let them steep right in the water at a certain temperature, and then you drain the water through a filter into your boiling boil kettle. Okay, it's called a mash. It's like a monster mash. You know, you always wonder what the monster mash was. Well, there you go. So. And it's all grain brewing, but on a smaller scale, so you don't have to go out and buy all the special pots and equipment and everything like that. It's a great way to get yourself started with all grain brewing. Okay, and then of course your fourth choice to make your beer the way you want to make it is all grain. Full wort boil, 5 gallons. You can build a mash tun. There's lots of videos on YouTube about how to do it, and it's the way you want it. Okay, if you want your beer to be like that, and you can add your own different kinds of grains, you can mix them, you can follow recipes, you can utilize hops differently. It's really cool. And, if you have the time and the equipment, I certainly recommend everybody try it. You see, I'm not bashing all grain brewing. Never meant to, and never would. Okay, now, what's the difference between all these ways of making it? Okay, well, obviously the easiest way to do it, you don't have any control over the outcome of it. It's all in the can. It's all here. You just mix this up and you've got beer. Okay. For some people, that's all it's required. That's all they want. They come home from work. They don't want to pay the price for the beer at the beer store. So they say, well, I want to make my own beer. I've got an hour on the weekend. Sure. Okay. There you go. And if you do things properly and keep your temperatures right, you can get good beer. Okay. Hands down. Truth of the matter is, you can, all right? Okay. And you know what? There's two types of people. There's people who want to do it as a hobby, and there's people who just want the beer. They just, frankly, just want the beer at the end of the day. Okay, when they get home from work, they want a cold beer. They don't want to buy it because it's too expensive. Extract brew, you add your own hops. A little more control there because you can control the bitterness, the aroma, things like that. So you have a little more things to play with. And I would certainly recommend you start to play around with those things. If you're an extract brewer, you can take a can like this and add some finishing hops or dry hop it. Dry hopping it is when you add some hops to the fermenter after, say, day 3 or 4. You put some hops in, just throw it in, in a bag or something like that. Put a marble with it to make it sink to the bottom. That's called dry hopping, and that will add a nice aroma to your beer. Okay? When you start getting into the partial extract, when you're actually using grains in the beer, what you're doing is you're adding some freshness. Okay? You've got these grains. You've either just had them freshly crushed by your homebrew supplier, or you've crushed them yourself. They're fresh, they smell amazing. You're steeping them in your beer, and you're getting a really fresh malt flavor there. Okay? That's where this comes in. That's where these guys come in. Because you use some grains, you steep some grains in some, 150 degree water, 160 degree water, and then you add the liquid malt extract to finish it off. Top it up with water, and you've got your wort. Okay? Hope I'm not confusing everybody. And then finally, the all grain. Well, if you've got 8 hours on a Saturday and you've got the equipment and the know-how, you can make beer the way you want to make it. These are the 4 ways that you can make beer. It's your choice, it's your beer, it's your house. And I'm telling you that these are your 4 choices. I am not dissuading you from doing any of the 4. Okay? So anyone who thinks I'm gravitating towards one or the other, absolutely not. The way I do it is the way I do it. But I'm telling you that those are the 4 ways you can make beer. And you should research all of them. Not just 1 or 2. All right? And can take into consideration which one of these things you're going to be able to do with the time you have, with the money you have. So again, these are the choices you have. And it's your right to make the choices that you want. This Brewing Arts thing says that you can't make beer any other way than all grain. And if you do, you're not making real beer. Right? So there's a prejudice there, and it actually sounds to me like a religion. This is where you bring in a religious aspect to beer making, which I'm completely against, because that to me sounds like a dictatorship. You got some guy that's been brewing for so many years that says to you, this is the only way you can do it. You can't do it any other way or you're going to get garbage. Well, that's hogwash, okay? There are 4 ways of making beer. And there are no brewing police out there that are going to arrest you for doing any one of those 4 ways. And it's up to you to decide which way is right for you. I do it extract brewing and partial extract brewing now. That's the 2 ways I do it. Those are the choices that I've made. And that's completely up to me. But I will provide you with a link down below to a really good partial extract, taking the extracts, mixing them with the grains, adding your own hops. That's partial extract. And if I can find a really good all grain video on YouTube, I will find it and I'll put the link down there as well. Okay, so that you can see all the ways of doing it. I don't believe in dictatorship. I don't believe people telling you what to do, telling you, oh, don't listen to him, don't listen to that, don't do it that way, this is the only way to do it. That's dictatorship. We don't want that, do we? Okay, so you do it your way. It doesn't have to be an art. If you want to get down to the nuts and bolts of home brewing and make an all-grain batch of beer and enter it into competitions, I guess you could be considered an artist, yes. But if you're not interested in as much of it, you just want good quality beer, you know, maybe you do a partial extract or a mini mash, or you do an extract brew. It doesn't matter how you choose to do it. If you get the beer that you sought out to get, you've reached your goal. Let's just grab some more of our wheat beer here, just a little bit. It's nice stuff. Highly recommend it. Cooper's Wheat. Give it a shot. Thanks for listening. More videos are coming up, and you know they are. Take care. Cheers.